I'm Kevin Casey. I'm a professional mixed martial arts fighter. And right now what I'm about to do is issue a warning out to all other competitors.
I don't want overs. I just expect them to happen.
Fatty's gonna fatty is real.
He is terrible!
Smacking dudes with his 18-inch meat stick.
I'm going to go quick because I don't give a fuck about anything that's going to happen on Saturday.
Hello, boys! And we're back after another absence. I don't know who to blame this time, but we're back. Little short show here. It looks like the sodsman's out there. It must be spring season. Maybe he's got the sod going. He's got his Scott's Miracle Grow, putting it in the ground. You know, growing all that Kentucky bluegrass, so the ponies can go run up on it. But maybe he'll join us after dark. Who knows? But we got one half of the Canadian duo with us at least. New Shaun, Western Canada represent. How you doing?
Good. I mean, I think it always comes back to blaming Lance. I think he, Lance got AIDS and quit the show, and then he decided to give it to the Kentucky Sodsman, and he's been sick. Been sick a couple times when he never used to get sick. So I don't know. It's not good. I'll always blame Lance. That's what I do.
What is in the water down there?
I have no idea. That is out of my element. I'm as far away as that place as possible.
I mean, is it malaria? I don't really understand. It's. I mean, I've never gotten sick like those two seem to get sick all the time. I mean, it's maybe it's lack of hygiene. I don't know what kind of etiquette they got in that part of the country. It's not good. It's affecting the show.
What it actually was is because Wes went down and actually went to the Austin card, and he actually had to be around kids, which he's not really a fan of. He was with Jerry's kids, and Jerry's kids got him sick. So I guess we can blame children.
So he's allergic to children.
Yeah, pretty much. And
okay, great.
I'm there too, so I try to steer clear of kids. They're just germs. That's all they are.
You're technically a kid yourself.
Yeah, that's true. But other kids, little kids.
not as young as that other Canadian in MMA, but you're a kid.
Yeah.
Yeah. Better looking too, but we'll get anyway. Anyway, moving on. I guess we should start talking about some of last week's fights. You know, we didn't have a fight card. We didn't have a consensus bet, even though we were gonna.
I mean, everybody knew what we were playing. We teased it enough.
Yeah, we teased it enough. And man, are there really people who believe that should have been disqualification? What in the world is going on? What is with these people? Shaun, tell me what the hell happened.
I don't know. I mean, did it happen? Yes. They're like, there's such split second things that happen in MMA, and people expecting, I would say, calls to go the right way all the time in other sports, which doesn't even happen in other sports. Never mind fighting. I don't know. It's a fucking cage fight. Protect yourself. You don't want to get hit in the back of the head. You don't want to get hit in the knees. Then don't get dropped. That's my case. But I know people who bet Emmett are gonna cry, but he was getting knocked the fuck out, and
he did get knocked out.
Exactly. Those were, oh my god. Jeremy Stevens is a fucking warlord. Those elbows were up there almost to the Hendo on Bisping level. I think he fractured Emmett's face 3 times. He had like 3 orbital breaks. Those elbows, just deadly.
That's nice.
Stevens did get dropped. I mean, I don't know have we seen Stevens get dropped before? It's been a while, I think. So you got to give Emmett some props for that. But when Stevens gets you hurt, there's not many up there that have the finishing instinct and capabilities that he has. It's pretty deadly.
Yeah, it was pretty awesome. Emmett looked good early though.
Yep.
He certainly did. I actually raised my grade on Emmett, and Stevens for that matter.
But you also didn't overrate him after the Lamas win too, though. You gotta.
No, I had him a C+, to be fair. And now he's a B-. So I think that was fairly reasonable. I think he's fringe top 15.
Yep.
I don't think he's number 4.
Number 4?
Like that. Nope, not at all. I don't think so. But entertaining fight. Jeremy Stephens is starting to become one of those guys that they can rely on. You almost get the feeling like he's kind of going down this Donald Cerrone, like take any fight at any time kind of dude and hurt people and make money and headline shows. I think he might be the heir apparent in that regard. And he's starting to get a little bit of following. Be cool if he can get to title contention, but I think he's going to have to beat one of the. We'll see.
It's just tough because he's already fought a couple of those guys. He lost to Edgar, he lost to Holloway, so
yeah, exactly.
It was a while ago. I think he can get close, but I don't know if he'll ever get there. But that dude's fun as hell to watch. And he is improving. He's not just a brawler. He is starting to get a kick game and stuff like that. His defense seems a little bit better. He's still that wild barbarian in there, but he's adding a couple tools, and I love watching that dude fight.
I'll agree with that. Let's start now at the bottom of the card, kind of go backwards again, up to the main event. First fight, Manny Bermudez subbed Albert Morales, gave Morales first ever submission loss, second round. Next fight, Alex Perez dominated Eric Shelton, 30-27 across the board. Was one of the biggest, it seemed like a Twitter consensus on Eric Shelton, but
Twitter mush
didn't go there. Yep, exactly. Man, these next two fights, I think that'll be my question to you. Hanayaya subs Russell Doan, third round. Sam Alvey drops Marcin Prachnio twice. Ref steps in. I'll ask you that. Russell Doan, Marcin Prachnio. Who had a worse performance? Because to me, like an F.
I would say Prachnio just because, he was a big favorite in that fight. There was some hype there, and he got dusted.
Deer in headlights?
He just got dusted. He was just running after Alvey, which is not good to do. You can beat out. There's ways to beat Alvey. You can have
Betch Correa style.
You can have a boring fight with Alvey, but the one thing you don't want to do is just run at him like a zombie because he will clip you, and he does have heavy hands.
It's a good counterpunch.
Yeah. I am kicking myself. I was going to bet Alvey by KO or inside the distance. It came out, it was like plus 350. I wanted a tiny bit higher considering what the money line was there, but so I ended up passing, and of course, what does he do? He knocks him the fuck out.
Yes, he did.
Impressive from Hanayaya. It was pretty tough circumstances. His mom did die recently. That's a good win to try to forget some of that stuff. I don't know. It's a pretty tough thing to do. Big letdown from Eric Shelton. I know a lot of Twitter was on it. I picked him in Toutmaster. I thought he would, keep progressing. He's shown a little bit, but yeah, he got dominated there. That was a pretty big letdown. And then Manny Bermudez, impressive sub game. If they book him correctly and don't put him with people that will knock his block off, maybe he can progress into something decent.
Like Brian Ortega?
Yeah. I think Ortega was probably a bit ahead of Bermudez at the time. But hopefully Bermudez can take some steps in the striking game.
Yeah, because the submission proficiency is very impressive.
Yeah.
It's super high level. You have to keep it on the standing with this guy. There's no reason to go to the ground because eventually he's going to get you.
Yep.
There's a lot of variety. Interesting enough. Supposedly, fight of the night, Alan Jobon took out Ben Saunders. It was weird because I thought that the announcers were all over Ben Saunders, and then Jobon took him out, and I was cool with that. You, Shaun?
Yeah, I mean, I like watching Joe Ban fight. I think he's a good fighter. He seems like a pretty good dude. That chin is kind of a liability, but he seemed to kind of shore up his defensive game a little bit to protect it. And Saunders just got that was a rough ending to that fight. He did the old crow cop and just bent his knee back. Not only do you get knocked the fuck out, but you probably tore some stuff in your knee. It's a rough one.
Yeah, I agree. Angela Hill, 30-27 across the board against Marina Moroz. Shaun, you got to answer this question for me. Is there anybody in the UFC who lands less punches for the amount of punches she throws than Marina Moroz? Does she just love, like, I just assume she does cardio kickboxing, like, 7 days a week, 2 times a day. And she's just so used to punching air.
Yeah, that's what her sparring is cardio kickboxing.
It has to be,
Like,
right?
She lands it like at 5% or something like that.
It's awful.
Yeah.
They said she threw like 250 strikes in this fight or something. Like it seemed like she landed like 30. Legitimately. It's pathetic.
Yeah, that's she is not good. Happy that the judges didn't get swayed by the shitty. Yeah, surprised and happy that the judges didn't get swayed by those shitty strikes that weren't even close to landing.
Well, I agree with that because I was a little concerned about it too. Not that I had any money on it, but just conceptually, it would have been really wrong. Sarah McMahon,
Mom quit.
Looks amazing for her first round. And then, man, imagine if she had a great chin, how good she'd be. Or just,
Or didn't have mom quit.
Does she really quit, though?
I mean, she finds ways to lose after dominating.
I mean, I think we have to have a conversation about this because there are not many fighters who've come into women's MMA with more hype than Sarah McMahon. I would say she's probably top 3 all time in women's MMA for hype coming into her career. Fair?
Yeah, I mean,
outside of Holly Holm,
and
now maybe Dern has like a ton of hype. Like, who else is there? I mean, Rousey, I guess, but that was before the UFC even existed, so she kind of came around earlier in time. But then when McMahon came over, people thought she'd be like a legit title challenger, kind of like Cejudo, same way, super high level wrestler. And it's just, yeah, I mean, she got to a title fight, but man, this career's been disappointing. How good she could have been.
Yeah, I mean, she came in, she beat Sheila Gaff and got
yeah, I remember that fight.
She got a title shot, and Rousey was in like I think the minus 200s against her. I think this is just one of those fighters that is she's not a fighter, she's an athlete, and that the athlete in her will only take her so far. It'll get her some wins, but there's
Is she
spots.
also like 38 or something?
No, I don't think she's that old. She's 37. Yeah. So she did kind of come into MMA late, which is another thing. But I'm just kicking myself that I didn't throw a couple dollars on Renault after the first round. I mean, that looked like a 10-8 for McMahon. And it's always possible for her to piss away fights. She's done it a couple times. So kicking myself there.
But just how physically strong. I mean, she's
so
freaking jacked.
So
she's
strong.
jacked. I mean, she's got, it's just strong. I mean, like, athleticism's there. I mean, you can clearly see it.
Yep.
But it's a real disappointment. I mean, Renault's 40. Got to give Renault credit in general, though. Like, I mean, how many women are around at that age that are still pretty darn competitive?
Yeah, she's the oldest
overachiever.
She's the oldest woman in the UFC to get a win. By a decent margin. I guess probably McMahon's the second oldest, but yeah, she's 40, a gym teacher, and she's beating Olympic medalists.
Yeah, impressive. She's got a good submission game, but whatever. Prelim headliner Brian Kelleher and former champion, one of my favorites from at his peak. When he was at his peak, he was as good as anybody. Henan Barrow. Keller won this fight. I think deservedly so. Good fight overall. Awesome third round. A little back and forth. Barao didn't gas, which was kind of cool to see. But he's just not the same guy he used to be, right, new Shaun?
I mean, not even close. I mean, this is
what is the difference, though? I mean, besides the obvious,
we've seen the lower weight classes guys take some damage, and they just
are him and Aldo in the same vein at this point in terms of like really good first round, and then they kind of they don't have the gas tank.
There's a bit of difference. Aldo's losing to Max Holloway. Barao's
right now.
I think Aldo's still there much more than Barao. I think Aldo can beat a couple guys in the top 10. Barao, I don't know if he should be ranked at this point.
He probably won't be.
Yeah,
be out of the
we've seen these lower weight classes. They do fight a shit ton early on in their career, and they just fizzle out a lot earlier than the bigger weight classes. I mean, he took a hellacious beating twice by TJ Dillashaw, and he fought a shit ton in his career. I think that's just the way it is. You can't really look at his age, and I mean, he's 30 years old. Dude has 41
really?
fights, though.
Wow.
He has 41 fights. And
he turns 31 tomorrow.
Yeah.
Turns 30.
And 41 fights. So that's 41 weight cuts. That's how much time in the gym. Like, that adds up, and then you see what happens. Fun dude to watch in his prime, but...
Well, the lower the weight class, the more speed is an issue, and it's
reaction.
clear Barao doesn't have his speed is just not there. His movement, his hand speed, it's just you can see it. It's just not nearly what it used to be. I remember like his fight with Brad Pickett when he like dropped him a couple times, like took his back like so quickly. I don't know if you remember that bout, but it was just unfortunately, or the Eddie Wineland fight when he had that spinning kick and knocked him out. Man, he was really, really good at that point. And
I mean he was pound for pound top 5 at that point.
Yeah, it's hard to. I'm trying to think. I really can't think of somebody who was that high who dropped that much. And I mean, it's been a couple of years for sure. But I mean, the first Dillashaw fight was 2014, so 3.5 years ago. Yeah, he's lost now, including that fight. He's lost 5 of his last 7 fights. He's 2-5 in his last 7.
Mm-hmm. And his win is against Felipe Nover.
And
I mean, I guess he's not losing against horrible guys. I mean, he lost to Dillashaw twice, Jeremy Stevens, Aljamain Sterling, and Brian Kelleher. So they're not terrible losses, but I don't know. I don't know what you do with him at this point. You put him on a Brazil card against, like, what do you? Are you going to put him against some no-namer? Like, what do you?
Yeah, I think you do. I mean, what else can you do?
Extend his career a bit, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. Main card. I think many thought that this was going to be an ass whooping by Mike Perry, and it ended up being a little bit the other way around. What happened here, Noosh?
I saw some people talking on Twitter, or one person, I think. They think that Mike Perry it's just one of those things that the Cowboy ran into a couple times where he just fought so much in so little time. In 2016, he fought 6 times, and then 2017 he's fought 3 times, and then early 2018. So I mean, he is fighting a lot. That's a lot of weight cuts, and it might just be something where he just has an off night. He just seems slow. He didn't seem on point. I'm not the biggest Mike Perry fan, but he definitely seemed off compared to even some of his losses. He's looked a lot better. I mean, he's a guy that's going to always be there because his chin is absolute granite. Griffin almost got caught a couple times in the third. So I don't know. Maybe he should just take a break. I know he fights in some shitty little gym. But maybe just needs some time off to get his mind off fighting and just chill and come back and have the fire again.
I think we've been talking about speed a lot on this card, and I thought that was the difference here is just Griffin's ability. Perry just wings up on his punches and goes for broke, and if you can, speed and pick and pop, you can really hit Perry. He doesn't have great striking defense, he's definitely a bit exposed here. I think people kind of overrated him a bit. Maybe myself included, kind of like Jason Knight a little bit. In that regard, people, got high on him on a couple performances, against maybe questionable opposition, and then, got exposed. Anyway, this one surprised me. One guy I wish we had talked about in advance. Horse God, Horse Lord.
The Lord of Horse.
Ilir Latifi, biggest win of his career. Taking out Osp. 7-inch reach disadvantage.
Didn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Drops him. Subs him with, that Herculean strength. Nobody's getting out of that. Referee doesn't see the tap. Referee misses the tap completely. I saw it. Do you see it?
Yeah, I don't know how he missed that. That was...
Why is he standing over there anyway, the referee?
Yeah, he was just in bad position.
Oh, come on. Oh, man.
Yeah, I had a small bet, just a 1-unit bet on Latifi. I didn't really expect it to end that way, that quickly, but sometimes you just take what you can get. He landed a couple good shots and then pounced on him.
Where do they go with him next?
Some people were talking about maybe Glover.
That could be dangerous.
But, what else are you going to do at light heavyweight? Because Glover...
Vulcan!
Ozdemir coming off a loss, maybe? Yeah.
Manawa?
What did Manawa do last time?
Well, Manawa's supposed to fight Jan Blachowicz again on that England card in a couple of weeks. So if he wins there, you could do Latifi and Manawa.
Oh, nice to see the UFC rankings fucking website is down. Not like it's worth anything anyway, but... be something to talk about. They're just like, no rankings available.
They probably got updated.
That's sweet.
They should probably up.
Yeah, I think you got to go either Glover or Ozdemir because he's not fighting Gus. So
is Gus fighting anybody?
Probably not.
I think Gus is retired.
Gus is waiting to fight DC, or Gus might be fighting.
Retired.
Gus might be fighting Rockhold. Is what might actually happen.
What makes you think he's not retired?
I like Gus. I know you guys don't like him, but I like him. I know he never fights.
He hates fighting. He's allergic to it. He gets a lot of he's got blemishes and little red marks on his body anytime someone talks about fighting with him, and then he's got to go take a nap, go into his room, rehabilitate. He's allergic.
Yeah, I don't know. He's still a good fighter. I think he murders Rockhold if that happens. But I don't know. There's talk. They're shit talking each other, so it might happen. And Rockhold's talked about going up to 205. So
he's gonna bite off more than he can chew, isn't he? Typical Rock.
Sir.
The fight that I wanted to talk about, I'm gonna put it out here. Jessica Andrade and Tisha Torres. Not only was this the fight of the night, I'm going to say this is the top 3 women's MMA fight I've ever seen. It's up. It's not. It wasn't as good as the Claudia Gadella, Joanna and Jacek fights. So outside of that matchup, I think it's just as good as any women's MMA fight I've ever seen.
I don't know if that says more. I don't know if that says more about how shitty women's MMA is or what. I enjoyed the fight. I'm a women's MMA hater. But I liked this fight. I was really impressed with Tisha Torres. She came out. Her striking looked vastly improved compared to what it's ever been. I know Andrade is always she doesn't have good defense and she puts herself in those situations so that she can land something, but I mean, Torres was landing on her. I mean, she doesn't have any power, which is an issue, but she was tagging.
No, she had more power in this fight than I've seen in the past.
Yeah.
She looks like she put some muscle on. I don't know how she did it.
I mean, she's pretty small. She's a pretty small fighter, so
yeah, but like it's all muscle. It's like yeah. I know.
Yeah, there's not much else on her. But Jessica Andrade is just way too powerful. Tossing Torres around. Props to Torres for getting up a bunch in the first round and a bit of the second, but just too much. And I mean, you got to give props to Andrade as well to keep that gas tank going. We never really saw, when did her cardio get good? Like, she dropped in weight and her cardio got, awesome? How does that happen?
That's what it seems like.
Maybe she's just taking it way more seriously. She cut all that fat off after fighting at bantamweight.
Well, isn't she training at American Top Team now?
Yeah, that probably helps as well.
Yeah,
she's got a motor. I mean, she gets hit, but... So I guess she's fighting the winner of Rose, Joanna. And I'm sure she's hoping Rose wins.
Yeah, that could be interesting. Really interesting if that happens, but we'll see.
I hope it happens just to kind of give something else, because I do think Joanna probably loses or beats Andrade again. So at least switch it up, get a fresh matchup.
Yeah, that's a different kind of fight. We'll see. Let's move on. UFC 222. Back to the Sin City. Back to Vegas. Just top to bottom, there's some stuff here. I don't think it's a terrible card.
It's tough that this is a pay-per-view
It's a lot better than what we thought it was going to be.
For sure. And I mean, it's tough that this is a pay-per-view card. I mean, it fell out. Frankie Edgar was supposed to fight Max Holloway, but they've thrown it together. There's fun fights. It's just tough that it's a pay-per-view.
Fine. First fight. Fight Pass. Adam Milstead dropping down from heavyweight is this his first fight since that torn knee? Yes, it is.
Yes, because he tore his knee against Curtis Blades, getting wrecked, right?
Yes, and then Curtis Blades and then it became a no contest because Blades tested positive.
Man.
Yeah, after Milstead got taken down 17 times in that fight. So he's dropping down a weight class, facing another guy who's a really good wrestler, in Jordan Johnson. Shaun, this isn't going to go well for Milstead, is it?
I don't think so, but to this point, Johnson hasn't really shown too much of finishing ability. He's got a bunch of decisions, I know.
Neither did Usman, though.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess he could,
or Covington.
Figure it out at some point. I think he's going to dominate. It's hard not seeing him dominate here. What's the goes the distance is plus 100. So that kind of shows you what the odds makers are thinking. They think it's kind of a flip of the coin whether he finishes him or not. I think you should look at Jordan Johnson's handicap when it comes out, minus 3.5.
It's a winner.
It'll probably be in the mid 100 range. Considering he's only minus 300, it might be closer to minus 200. It's probably minus 150, 160. I think that's the way I would look here. I think it's going to be
bad bet.
I think it's going to be one-way traffic. Jordan Johnson's wrestling is just going to be way too much, and who knows what Milstead's knee is going to be like. How long ago was that? It's a year. Those knees. I mean, I know from my experience, I've had 3 knee surgeries. Those aren't fun to come back from, especially in a fighting sport. Yeah, one-way traffic here.
You're right about that Knicks bet, by the way. They got outscored by 21 points in the third quarter.
No surprise. So what do you got here?
I got Johnson a C, Milstead a D-. I had him a D- at heavyweight, so I got him dropping down. He punches pretty hard. He's a decent athlete, but that's really all there is. I mean, he's not really an MMA fighter. There's just not much else there. And you have to wonder, the knee can't be great. I mean, torn ACL, coming back, facing another guy who could easily grapple you, long, not he's not significantly tall. Johnson's 6'2", but 79-inch reach. I mean, Milstead's kind of short in his own right. He doesn't have length. It's just, this isn't a good matchup. Johnson's shown to have a pretty decent. I don't think he's really going to need much. I think he's going to be able to take Milstead to the mat as much as he wants in this bout. And it could get ugly for Milstead. So I'll take the handicap bet. I think Shaun's onto something on that one. Next fight up. A good fight. Brian Caraway taking on surging bantamweight Cody Stamann. What do you think about this one, Shaun?
I think it's a pretty close fight. I know Stamann looked pretty good against Duquesnoy last time. Everybody's pretty high on Duquesnoy, but he's a young fighter, and Stamann does have the wrestling ability to kind of ground him out and stuff like that. So I don't know if Stamann's being a little overvalued considering that win. Caraway, I know everybody hates on Caraway, and he hasn't fought in a year and a half, but he's a tough fighter. He doesn't get beat by anybody that's not really, really good. So this is a tough test for Stamann. That's such a long layoff. It's tough to trust that layoff. If the layoff wasn't that long and the price what it was, I'd probably take Caraway. I'll be curious to see what Caraway by decision is when it comes out. The overs or the goes the distance pretty juiced right now. It's minus 215, so probably only looking at the low 200s, maybe even just the high 100s. So at that point, I'd probably pass. I'm gonna pick Caraway for Toutmaster for some dog odds, but maybe Stamann will continue his ascension and make a statement against a pretty good veteran in Caraway.
You have Caraway a B, Stamann a C+. Even with that grade differential, I'm pretty nervous about Caraway, just because I really liked what I saw from Stamann against Tom Duquesnoy, who I think really highly of. Stamann, got that fight to the ground and made it, really difficult for Duquesnoy, kind of tired him out. But you really can't do that against Caraway. He wants to keep it standing because Caraway is really difficult on the ground. He's a great grinder, much better submission game than anyone Cody Stamann's ever faced. So it's kind of a tricky fight all around because, as Shaun was saying, you have the layoff from Caraway, and Stamann has big strengths on the ground. Caraway can kind of neutralize that with his submission game. So again, really tricky. Really tricky fight. I'll pick Caraway just because of the experience and just ability and proven that he's able to beat quality opposition, while Stamann's kind of more of an up and comer. So I think this is just kind of a buyer beware situation. Final fight of Mike Pyle's career. I don't know how old he is now.
42.
Is he 42?
Yeah.
Taking on another guy who probably should be on the final fight of his career, in Zach Otto. I guess that kind of makes it a little better. It's in his hometown in Vegas. Shaun, can Mike Pyle get the job done here?
It's possible, but damn, he's looked rough in his last two fights. He's got flatlined his last two fights. He hasn't fought in over a year, which is probably a good thing for his brain and jaw. I don't think much of Zach Otto. I think the odds have even increased on Otto since Pyle announced that this is going to be his retirement fight. That's kind of always a weird angle.
Smart.
It's a weird angle. Everybody kind of thinks that. I mean, it's what we've seen. It's not usually a good sign when you're going to retire. They don't seem to have very good results, so it's just tough for me to pick Zach Otto at minus 250. I think he wins, likely knocks out Pyle. I mean, he does only have 2 KOs in his career. He's more of a sub guy. I'll probably pick Mike Pyle in Doubtmaster, but I don't expect to win that one. He's fought so many times, and that jaw-brain combo is just so shot. But like you said, Zach Otto's not good either.
I got Otto a D+, Pyle a D-. This is not good. This is not a good fight. It's not good. It's not a good fight, and even worse, probably just not good for Pyle, because even if he has some success, it's hard to see him survive rounds against just about anybody at this point, just because the chin just isn't there anymore. Otto has some power in his hands, and I don't think Pyle has the power in his hands to really hurt Otto, even though we've seen Otto finished. Can't trust Otto, in my opinion. That's why, this feels like a fight you really want to bet. Like, this is like a favorite, fading like a guy who's totally washed. But I just can't do it here. You could have gave me, I don't know who else is on this card. I don't even know. I'm not really sure who would be like a good comparison. Like Li Jingliang or something. Could you imagine if he was facing Pyle? It would have been destruction or something. But it's just like somebody a little more reliable than Otto, and this would have been like an easy bet. But I think I have to pass it. But I'll take Otto, and I'll take him by knockout. Moving on to the televised card, we have interesting matchup, middleweight, 2 elder statesmen, but not as elder as Mike Pyle, CB Dalloway, Cedric Byron Dalloway, as Lance would like to say.
Clarence, not Cedric.
Oh, sorry, Clarence. Taking on Hector Lightning Lombard.
Fresh.
There's not much.
Fresh off getting wrecked by Anthony Smith in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
This is another interesting fight. Lombard lost 4 in a row. Got smashed in 3 of the 4 of those. I don't know what's left of Lombard. And then you got CB Dalloway, who's still having back issues, supposedly, from getting fucked up from that elevator back in 2016.
How is that possible?
And he's suing the company, I think. This dude beat Ed Herman, but
he did.
I guess they wanted to get him a win because he was coming off 3 straight losses, including getting knocked out by the ghost of Nate Marquardt.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what to do with this fight. I think it's...
Don't do anything.
Yeah, you just watch to see Lombard get knocked out or knock somebody out. The fight goes...
Can this really go 3 rounds?
It's plus 120. I don't know. I guess I'll take Dalloway, but Lombard could get knocked out or just knock out Doberman. These guys are both...
Or he gasses and goes to the mat.
Yeah, and CB could just grind on him and lay on him for 3 rounds. So I hope this is over early. I hope Lombard knocks Dalloway the fuck out, but this could get really bad really quickly. I just don't know. I guess I'll pick Dalloway for plus money.
Well, he might as well be Dober. Dober might have a better shot at winning.
Yeah.
I'll take...
It's a tough fight, man.
I got both these guys a C-. Nushan's right. This is a tough fight to break down because Lombard, definitely the more athletic, fast movement, ability for the spectacular. I would say Dalloway is a little more reliable even at this point in his career, but don't like this back. It's 40 years old. So That's not good either. When does it all give out? I mean, Holloway's not a spring chicken at 34 either. It's a weird fight between two guys who are going nowhere fast in this division. They're kind of below average. It's at this point, and they have decent names, and I honestly would have preferred them against more up and comers as opposed to facing them against each other. Because even if someone wins, who cares? Like, what is it? It means nothing, right? So, man, I'll take Holloway too, just because. I still think he's not as long in the tooth as Lombard, and I think even at this point his gas tank's a little more. I actually trust Holloway more, which is frightening. One more fight? No, two more fights up on the UFC 22 prelim card. Actually, three. Sorry. Although I think we're going to skip one of them. The next one, though, is a good one.
Yeah.
And probably should be on the main card. John Dodson, Pedro Munoz, top 15 bantamweight clash. New Shaun. Yes.
This is going to be a really good fight. One that actually matters when it comes to rankings and stuff like that. I really like Dodson here. I put 2 units on him at -150. This fight, I was on him the first time, even when it was in Brazil, got the same number, and then it's in Vegas and it's the same number. I don't really understand that. I know Pedro Munoz trains the American Top Team, but still fighting at home in Brazil, I think, gives you an edge, and the line didn't indicate that.
Yes, it does. It does.
Yeah. So I just don't see how this is that close of a fight. Like, the odds say, I mean, it's moved a bit. I think Dodson's -165 at Dimes and around -160 at a bunch of other places. Dodson's never been finished. Pedro Munoz hasn't looked that good against good guys lately. He was losing against Rob Font until he snatched that submission, which is his guillotine is elite, and obviously Dodson's going to have to be aware of that. Scoggins was beating him until he pissed away that fight as well. I just think Dodson is going to be way too fast. He barely gets hit. And he's never been finished by KO or sub, and I expect that to continue on. I just hope that Dodson throws enough, because I think it's just going to be a stand-up fight, and sometimes he's in close fights with not much going on. So I hope the activity's there. He's throwing more, because I think he's a much better fighter than Pedro. So yeah, bet it at -150 and expect him to win a wider decision, probably a 30-27, maybe 29-28 on a card or two.
Yeah, I got Dodson A-, Pedro Munoz B-. New Shaun, let's do some MMA math.
All right, here we go.
All right, John Dodson fought John Lineker.
Yep.
Very competitive fight. If Pedro Munoz fought John Lineker, is that fight close at all?
I mean, no, but there is always that chance that he could grab a guillotine somehow. I don't think it's... I mean, Lineker has been caught before, and it could happen, but no. Striking, it would be domination. You gotta always watch out for that.
John Dodson knocked out TJ Dillashaw a long time ago, but he did.
Yep.
Pedro Munoz would not be close against.
No. I mean, that it's a different TJ, but I agree. I think this is very, very low price on Dodson.
Why does John Dodson continue to get undervalued?
I don't know, but I enjoy it.
Yeah, it's very odd to me. Is it because he moved up from flyweight, so people don't view him as a natural bantamweight? Okay, but the guy is clearly an upper echelon fighter, athletically really gifted. Has pretty big power even at this weight class in his hand. Maybe not the same level as a Lineker per se, but he can still hurt people. There's no denying that. He's not the easiest to take down, and he's super elusive. Pedro Munoz is not elusive at all in his striking, at all. He's very hittable. He's pretty stagnant on the feet. His hands are okay, but his footwork is just awful in comparison to Dodson. I think it's night and day. Like, he's a quicksand. I think that's going to be the issue. The biggest issue in this fight is Dodson's footwork, his speed against Munoz, who's going to be much slower and plodding. And I think Dodson's going to be able to run circles around him. I know we saw that with Lineker. His footwork's not as fast, but Munoz doesn't have kryptonite in his hand, so a little bit different. Doesn't have that variable. Only way Munoz wins is one of his surprise guillotines again. You can almost do a hedge of Munoz by guillotine versus Dodson, any result, and probably make if you arb it. I wouldn't really recommend it because I think Dodson wins, and I think pretty much everyone on this podcast does. Based on conversations we had before the show. So, with that said, we're trying to keep this thing going for 2018. Our MMA Analysis consensus bet of the week: Shaun Dodson money line. I believe that's now minus 165. New Shaun, something like that.
Yeah, right around there, 165, 163.
Okay, so there's our bet. We're going to try to keep this undefeated run going. Hopefully this fight actually takes place this time, because I think we bet a month ago and then the fight didn't happen, right?
That is correct.
I think the next fight up is Beneil Dariush taking on another MMA Hernandez. I don't think we really want to take much time to talk about this. Newcomer taking on top 10 lightweight. Doesn't seem like it's going to go well. New Shaun, do you feel there's any other need to discuss this one?
Not really. I mean, he could surprise. We have seen that before, but it's tough to go against a top 10 lightweight.
Yeah, it is. I'm fairly reliable at that. Next fight, TLB headliner, seems to be getting some hype, not because Ashley Yoder's in it. Woohoo, Ashley Yoder. Yeah, exactly. Taking on, I know, one of Dougie's fantasy girls, Mackenzie Dern. New Shaun, how big is the hype train around Dern, and is it justified?
It seems to be pretty good. I mean, she's only she's only had 5 fights, and they've been talking about her joining UFC probably since she was like 2-0 or 1-0. She might even been. They were even talking about her before she even had a fight. She's pretty good. That submission game is high up there, but she hasn't looked like she's won all her fights, obviously, but she hasn't looked amazing throughout all of them. Do I expect her to beat Yoder? Yes. But goes to decisions only plus 100, and you know how I do. I might have to sprinkle. Dern's probably going to sub her, but at plus 100, got to take it. Just
plus
small.
100 for an over 2.5?
Yeah. Well, it's a goes decision, but basically, yeah.
Both these girls like to go to the ground. I got this a C plus for Dern, a C minus for Yoder. Hard to really grade Dern because of competition, but she's all world in jiu-jitsu. Both these girls like to go to the ground. That's where they're best is in the grappling game. I just think that's really dangerous to do against Dern.
Yep.
As she's probably like, I don't think she's Gilbert Burns level on the mat in comparison to her, her peers, but it's pretty close to that, right? I mean, she's world champ or just about world champion in jiu-jitsu. It's gonna be tough. Yoder, I don't think Yoder has the ability to keep it standing. So, yeah, I'd actually go New Shaun here, and I see this being finished. Dern by sub. Gonna say second round. Main card. Interesting fight to open it. The return of Kat Zingano. I feel it's been forever.
Year and a half
going against really a surging bantamweight. And really no one who hasn't gotten a lot of fanfare. I mean, but she's coming off a really good win over Sarah McMahon, and someone I think could be a real contender in this weight class. Caitlin Vieira. New Shaun, what do you think about this one?
Zingano didn't fight last year. She hasn't fought in a year and a half. And then going back, the last time she fought more than once per year was 2010. How insane is that?
Wait, say that again?
So she didn't fight in 2017. She fought once in 16, once in 15, 1 in 14, 1 in 13, 1 in 12, and 1 in 11, and then 3 times in 2010.
So she doesn't fought more than once in a year in 7 years.
8 years, yeah.
So if she fights this weekend, don't expect to see her again until 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Vieira was impressive against McMahon. Again, that was a pretty good quit job by McMahon. She looked good, decent early, and then kind of pissed it away. I think Vieira is pretty tough. I don't really want to have my money anywhere here. I don't know what Zingano's been doing. Last time we saw her, she ballooned up to 170 pounds, so that's going to be a fun weight cut. I'll just pick Vieira here, and hopefully it's a short fight because I'm not betting the over.
I got both these ladies a B. I think this is a tough fight to call. Zingano, I think is going to have a really hard time here because this isn't the type of fighter you kind of want to come back against. Vieira hits hard, and she's got a pretty darn good wrestling game. Really dangerous. But Zingano, at her peak was, really impressive. But it just hasn't fought a lot. I think Vieira is going to win. I have to be honest with you. I really liked what I've seen from her, and I think she's a viable contender in this weight class, and gone completely under the radar. The Sarah McMahon, if she beats Sarah McMahon and Kat Zingano back to back, really, what's next? She might be right there, but I don't think they're going to do another Brazilian for a title. If assuming that Amanda Nunes wins again this time, so she might have to beat somebody else before she gets there. But I'm going to take Vieira. I think better offensive wrestler. Might even be a better, more power on the feet than Zingano. So, but we'll see. I think this could. I've seen worse pay-per-view main card starters. At least this fight has some intrigue. Moving up, heavyweight. Arlovsky and Stefan Struve, Shaun. What are we doing here?
This is going to be the co-main event when this was still Edgar versus Holloway. You know that, eh?
I'm sorry?
This fight was gonna be the co-main event when it was Holloway versus
versus. How weird is that? What were they doing?
I don't know. It's terrible. As for this fight, props to anybody who grabbed Arlovsky at the opener plus 290. Even after that got hammered down, it was plus 240 for a while. I didn't grab it even then. That was a mookie play by me. I just didn't want to have my money held up for a month and a bit, I guess. I don't know what I was thinking back then. And now it's kind of more into the respectable range, with Arlovsky at plus 160, Stefan Struve minus 185. It's heavyweights. It's shitty heavyweights. Struve got knocked out last time. He looked alright until he got knocked out, if I remember correctly, against Volkov. And Arlovsky beat the diaper one, Junior Albini, when everybody was thinking that Albini was going to knock him out. I don't have much here. I'll take the dog. I'm not going to bet it. I'll pick Arlovsky. I think he can land on Struve. I don't know if people think this is a bit of a resurgence from Struve, or it's just they think Arlovsky is so done. That's why Struve is was a big favorite. He beat Antonio Silva and Daniel Omielanchuk. Struve isn't back. These guys are both terrible, and I think whoever lands first is going to win. So on a coin flip like that, I will pick the dog.
Fair enough. I'm with Nushan. I got both these guys a C-. Neither is super reliable at all. It's kind of a kill or be killed fight, in my opinion. It's hard to see this one going the distance, although Arlovsky's kind of done it more in the past. But I could see either getting clipped and finished in this one. So in this case, when that scenario kind of happens, I think it's either dog or pass, right?
Yep.
I mean, how do you bet juice on a guy you think could easily be knocked out? So that's the way you have to play it. So I'll take Arlovsky. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't risk anything major on it, but it'll be fun. It'll be fun while it lasts.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting bout. Now we get to the interesting part of the card. Really intriguing matchup at bantamweight between two strikers. Could be a sneaky contender for fight of the night. Maybe I shouldn't say it's sneaky because I think there's a good amount of people looking forward to it. Andrei Sukamthov. What do we call him? Subkantai. Woo! Going up against Dana's new bad boy, Shaun O'Malley. New Shaun. What do you think happens here?
It should be an interesting fight. When the odds opened minus 260 with O'Malley, I think that was pretty atrocious. Now O'Malley's the dog, plus 115. I know one person that's definitely going to be on O'Malley with him fighting out of the lab and opening such a big favorite. And now he's the dog. You know who's going to be betting O'Malley in this one. Subkantai is not a can, or is not as much of a can as I expected. I thought Luke Sanders would be able to get rid of him, and boy was I wrong on that one. I think this will be a fun fight. I don't really have an angle here on who's going to win. O'Malley did all right in his first official UFC fight. He went 3 rounds, so that was good to see. I got nothing. I'll pick Subkantai to win because the UFC rarely gets what he wants.
That's not a terrible angle from that perspective. I'll take. I got O'Malley a C-, Subkantai a D+. This is interesting because both these guys can get hit, and they both are pretty impressive on the feet. I'd see this being an action fight, and if somebody gets clipped from a weird angle, it could totally change the complexion of the fight. I like O'Malley's variety of his weapons. I think I give him a little bit of an edge, but it's not a lot. We saw O'Malley hurt in his previous fight against Turin, where he's a decent boxer. But, Subkantai, I think, offers just more than just punches on the feet, and I think that could be dangerous. But this is going to be action-packed. It's going to be fun. Not sure there's going to be a finish, but I could certainly see either guy being clipped and changing the complexion of the fight, no matter if that results in a stoppage or just changes the complexion of it. So I'll stay away. But I'll take O'Malley just because of just the level of variety that we'll see in his fights. I think that could play a part and potentially be the difference. Co-main event and let's just call it the real main event.
Mm-hmm.
New Jersey's finest, Frankie Edgar, taking on maybe the best submission finisher in mixed martial arts today. Brian Ortega. New Shaun. What do you think about this one?
This is going to be a fun fight. I like Frankie Edgar here. Maybe I'm just blinded. I know these prospects have kind of come up, and a lot of times we go against them with kind of the more veteran, known commodity, but Brian Ortega, he plays with fire. I mean, he does just have unbelievable ability to snatch guillotines and snatch wins out of nowhere. He's been losing like every one of his last 5 fights until he's won. And it's awesome that he can do that and come from behind, but that is not a good thing to have to do every time. And it's going to be even worse if he has to do it against somebody like Frankie Edgar, who is just an absolute beast when it comes to fighting. He is an intelligent fighter. He has unbelievable recovery. He's never been subbed before. I mean, that doesn't matter when it seems like when it comes to Ortega, but he's definitely well versed in submission. I think it's good that this is better that it's a 3-round fight for Edgar. Less time for Ortega to snatch something even when he's tired. I expect Frankie to be able to be too quick. His striking is going to be too good. And his takedowns, if he wants to, I think he can get him there. And, I mean, obviously he has to be careful of that sub game, but Frankie Edgar's a pretty good guy to have your money on. So I bet him at -170 for 2 units.
Interesting. I got Edgar an A+, Ortega an A-. This is an intriguing bout. It really is. Pretty much any Brian Ortega bout, in my opinion, is going to be intriguing just because of the it factor and his ability to finish. As we saw in the Cub Swanson fight, he can be outstruck on the feet. There's no denying that. He's not a bad striker. He's got decent boxing skills, but he's not a top 7, top 8, top 9, maybe not even a top 10 fighter. Just based on wrestling, the traditional attributes or arts in mixed martial arts, whether that's wrestling, whether that's Muay Thai, whether that's boxing, whether it's kickboxing, even just traditional jiu-jitsu. But he's got this, I don't know what you want to call it, submission grappling, I guess. That's probably the best way to put it. Just submission finishing ability is an A++. He is extremely dangerous. Almost Rousimar Palhares like, except without hurting people. And that automatically propels you to, title contender status, because he's shown that he can beat really good fighters and submit them. His ability to latch onto a neck is just that as good as anybody ever. And Frankie Edgar has never been finished in a fight, right? And
Nope.
Nope. So it would take something special here to get the win, in my opinion. That's why we have this little bit of grade differential. So, man. Edgar doesn't need to go to the ground to beat. Sometimes Edgar needs to get the fight to the ground. Like against an Aldo, he kind of really needed to, and he wasn't able to do so. Against Ortega, doesn't really need to do that. He could box him for 5 rounds and just avoid getting his neck in a bad spot, potentially get the win. But even if Frankie gets his neck in that position, I don't know if there's a way out. So you got to be really careful here. I'm going to take Edgar to win. I really kind of tend to like him, because he really only needs to avoid one thing. He's such a smart fighter, but it's just hard to have money against Brian Ortega and his ability to finish. It's very impressive. So, be careful. Main event. This can't be close news, Shaun. Chris Cyborg in what amounts to be an exhibition bout against Yana Kunitskaya. Let's avoid the long talk here. How long does this fight last? Give me minutes. Not rounds, minutes.
I would say 4.
4?
4 minutes.
Does this go beyond 1 round? Because I don't see it.
I don't think so.
No.
Cyborg has shown a little bit of patience when she has fought some people recently. Obviously, she went to a decision last time, but I think she's gonna wreck this chick. It's not even close. I'm not doing anything crazy. She's -1,500, -1,600. There's a reason. We'll see what her inside the distance, what her round 1 or round 2 is. A lot of times, one angle that a couple people I know and myself take is these huge favorites that everybody thinks is going to win in round 1. Round 2 is sometimes in the +500 or higher range. Take a stab at that.
But here,
I think she's going to wreck her in round 1. But if round 2 is +600, +700, I think you got to take a tiny stab. It's not like you're going to play. What are you going to play round 1 if she's round 1 250.
No.
Are you going to play it?
No.
So
No.
it's a tough fight to bet. I don't know how you're going to take it, but we got to wait till the props come out. But I think this is going to be destruction in round 1, maybe round 2.
Yeah. A++, C++. Don't waste your time. This should be a mauling and continue the Cyborg legacy. That's all that really needs to be said. Nusha, I don't know if you were taking a look at the basketball scores, but I say the Houston Rockets are down by 12 points at Utah.
I wonder. Somebody who bet them tweeted that they're having their worst shooting performance of the season. Now, I wonder why that is.
Yeah, it could be that they played at elevation last night. Maybe. Just maybe.
Or
Or
it could be somebody bet them, the biggest mush in Twitter history, who's trying to pick fights with MMA Twitter, which is hilarious. And we had our former co-host try to step up the two pack a day smoking baby dick
cricket loving.
Baby dick one. Shaun Carey wants to fight him because he's boxed before, but of course the mush chickens out because that's what the mush does.
Yeah, he does. Are you Olympics? Canada? How'd Canada do? Good, bad, and different?
It was weird. We actually had our most medals we've won, most gold medals won
Overall?
and we didn't do well in curling or hockey, which is what we're really good at.
Well, the hockey is understandable, I think.
But
somewhat.
Curling, so out of the for men's, out of the 5 Olympics that have done curling, the Canadian men have got gold 3 times and silver twice.
Well, apparently the Americans got a gold medal this time.
Yeah, mom and dad are really into curling, and they watch it, and they said the men just played absolutely phenomenally. So, it was kind of for my bets anyway, it was kind of a shittier end. I lost some, but I still ended up up about 2.5 units. So, anytime you have a positive Olympics, you take it. I'm no a certain person who is unbelievable at Olympics. Bradley, did you join us as we were signing off?
I did join us. Yeah.
You're so random.
Hey, I made a ton of money thanks to our women's curling team that blew it.
You just bet against them?
Because a couple times.
Yeah.
Against Denmark. Denmark was like plus 825. I had that as a round robin leg and cashed a couple other things. So
at least somebody made some money off of them.
What was the U.S. men's team to win the Olympics? They could not have. They had to be like 20 or 30 to 1.
They didn't really have futures for curling.
Awesome.
Yeah, they did. I bet them. I bet Canada to win them at like even money.
What was? Do you know what the U.S. was?
I don't remember what the U.S. was. I know that like.
Had to be astronomical.
The Sweden men, I think, were like plus 200 or plus 300, but I would guess the Americans were up in like the 20 to 1 or 15 to 1 range.
Had to be, right?
Yeah.
Good stuff.
I missed so much of the Olympics that I didn't even look at futures until like a couple days in. So
I don't know what's wrong. I really had a real hard time getting into the Olympics.
Well, the time change.
It was the time difference.
It's just the winter games just don't really do it for me for the most part. It's just, I don't know.
Yeah, there's a lot of really obscure shit.
Biathlon. I mean, the allure of track and field and swimming and men's basketball and soccer is just a lot more appealing than alpine skiing and.
There are some fun ones though,
and
like snowboarding.
Non-NHL players playing hockey.
Yeah,
but I mean,
women's final was compelling.
It was
terrible.
The Americans it was terrible hockey, and I will debate anybody that says that was good hockey. Was it compelling and close? Yes, but the actual hockey was absolutely atrocious.
We're not talking about that.
Some of us are.
No, there was lots of people on Twitter, like even people that follow hockey, they're like, oh my god, they played so well. The game's come so far along in the last like 5 years. It's like, those girls are terrible. My men's league team would compete with that team, and they're Olympians. Like, fuck off.
Yeah, it's weird how it goes with women's sports. Some sports
are
like
really good.
Like tennis can be very compelling and be very high level, and then others you just. Yeah. I think the biggest difference is men's basketball and women's basketball is just.
They're two completely different sports.
Because that game relies on speed and size, and those are basically the two things that the men excel at. But anyway, I don't need to go on that soapbox. But Brad, I'm sure you have some sort of lacrosse update for us. Is this Albany thing a real thing?
Dude, Albany is the real. The real.
What are they ranked?
They should be ranked. I haven't checked the polls. The new polls came out today, but they should be ranked number 1 this week because Duke lost over the weekend. So Albany.
Where are they getting their players from? Is it the Indian reservation kids that are riding them? Is that what's going on?
Yeah, they've got that upstate New York and then the reservations and just killing the game. But yeah, that's.
Are they like the West? Are they like the West Indies of cricket? You know what I mean? Like they're like just totally different. They're not like not an aristocrat team.
No,
they're not a bunch of rich like learned how to play from like some like rich coach. They figured it out.
There's a couple rich kids that play on the team. I mean, it's lacrosse, of course. There's gonna be rich kids. Yeah. Like they've got.
That's like saying that there's a kid. Yeah, I know.
Their face-off guy is he won the New York High School Wrestling Championship in his senior year.
That's random.
And there's actually a lot of like wrestling lacrosse crossover. And then they've got kids on reservation from the reservations, and then just some straight up baller rich white kids.
Albany is ranked number 1, Brad. By the way, Maryland 2, Duke 3.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Is Virginia top 5 yet?
They are number 4.
Yeah, that's a ridiculous team this year too. That if you're going to watch any lacrosse at all this year, watch Albany and watch Virginia because those teams are just absurd. So much fun. But this weekend was the whole weekend wasn't losing, but lost on Saturday. It was my first losing Saturday of the season. So
wow,
yeah.
So you're coming back with a vengeance this weekend, is what you're telling us.
Exactly. Yeah, I'm hoping Tony gets those lines out because there's some games tomorrow, and
don't count on it.
Rebound strong. Hey, Jay, I figured every weekend when I lose, it should encourage him to put some more lines out and maybe trick him into losing a little more money to me.
We can only hope.
That's one way to look at it.
Yeah. But. Yeah, lacrosse season, full swing. Love it. Way better than this MMA garbage.
Is there any MMA you want to mention, Brad, or you don't care?
Frankie Edgar and Ortega are on this card, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we talked about it. Do you have a thought?
I think over 3 rounds, it's going to be Frankie. I don't think that he's going to make the mistake that Ortega needs in that amount of time to capture a little submission and figure something out. So I think Frankie takes this one.
Yeah. The longer the fight goes, Ortega, you're probably right, though. It gives him more opportunities, right?
Yeah, exactly. And like obviously we've seen cardio's no issue for him. So, but at the same time, we've seen guys try and guillotine Frankie before and no go on that. So I know Ortega's special, but
are you saying it's special, or you think it's hype?
No, I definitely think Ortega's special.
Okay,
but it's Frankie Edgar. He's one of the best ever.
There's no denying that. He should be a Hall of Famer. Clear cut. I mean, considering what the UFC puts in their Hall of Fame, I mean,
not that prestigious.
No,
but is there anything else worth watching on this card?
Dodson versus Pedro Munoz.
Yeah, Dodson consensus.
Yep.
Brian, that could be interesting.
Caraway versus Stamen. Yeah, that's what Jay said.
Yeah. Okay.
But
like when that's the third fight on the card that you mentioned, Yeah.
Yeah.
Yank on the collar a little bit.
We have this Struven Arlovsky fight. That could be a shit show.
Speaking of heavyweight fights, I know it's like, 2 weeks away now, but is Verdum still only like minus 230 against what's his face? Volkov?
I bet him today at one of my random books, and I got minus one. The hell? Minus 184 on him today.
You've got to be kidding
Straight?
me.
Yep. Put 2 units on it.
That's ridiculous. Like, it's Fabricio Verdum and a guy who couldn't even cut it as Bellator heavyweight champion.
Yeah, Verdum's going to have to fuck up real bad to fuck that one up. I hate betting heavyweights fights, but you got to take it at that number.
Yep. Well, that's like, it reminds me of the time when it was Verdum against Nog, and Verdum was like minus 200 early on. I was just like, what? What's happening here?
Yeah.
But anyways, this card kind of sucks. Honestly, I was out with a bunch of people from work on Saturday, so I haven't even seen the Fox card, but...
You should watch the fucking main event and see some death blows is what you should watch.
I heard it was a little bit of wackiness going on.
Brad,
it's a good sign when you break a guy's orbital bone or in his face 3 times.
Nice.
You would have been impressed with how good the Andrade Torres fight was, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for a chick fight, it was actually pretty good.
Torres came to play.
I actually picked her in that fight. I thought I don't know. I just thought she'd stick it and move it, and but I guess obviously, like I said, I haven't seen it. But Andrade's presser probably got to her just a little too much, right?
Ooh, Hakeem Dawodu is debuting on that next fight card a couple weeks. That's gonna be fun.
Yeah.
Nice. Oh God, Cajun Johnson's on that card.
They're still trying to line him up to die. Now it's against
they really are.
It's against Harlem Heat.
Is it a Canada card?
No, it's a London card.
Oh. It's just weird. They got multiple Canadians on there.
Yeah, I guess there's not going to be a Canadian card for a while, so might as well throw him in England against English people.
The Bear Jew's on that too.
Yeah.
Bear Jew and the God Beer. I mean,
do you think if Bear Jew keeps losing fights, they'll actually let him bring the bat into the cage?
He's going to need it. I don't know who the hell he's fighting. Something called Megamed.
Yeah, it's not a good start. Not a good start to begin with. When you add the meta in there, you know it's probably going to be a rough night for you. Going to be a tough one for him.
Yeah, that card's in 2 weeks. We're going to actually have a week off of fights after this weekend.
And then there's 2 weeks off the next UFC. 3 weeks, actually.
I feel like I get every week off of fights lately. Because I'll pop in for like the 2 or 3 fights I actually care about and ignore the rest. It's beautiful.
The one that's coming up, April 7th, that's Ferguson versus Khabib.
Yeah, that's like an actual card.
Yeah, that's the real deal right there.
Yeah, because Khabib's fighting. We know. He's being promoted to the guilds. When you're hanging out with Cristiano Ronaldo, you know you're big time.
He's still got to show up, Jay. We still have to put that asterisk there.
Is he Ronaldo's new fun boy?
Don't be saying that, Brad. He does like fighters, I'm told.
Yeah, him and Badr Hari. I know that was a thing a while ago, and I guess Khabib's the new one.
Brad, is there a bigger mismatch in men's MMA than Zabit taking on Kyle Bochniak on that Khabib card?
How did that get booked?
I know. How does that happen?
Because nobody wants to fight Zabit.
I mean,
so they're just trying to kill Kyle Bochniak. Fuck him.
I mean, what is a legitimate line?
1,000.
1,500? Like legitimate?
I was going to go 2,000.
Jesus.
I mean, how does he lose?
Yeah.
Does Kyle Bochniak have any power to do anything?
No, he's got no power, and in terms of any sort of technique anywhere in that fight, there's nothing going on. So
the only way that Magomed Sharapov loses is like he tears his knee mid-fight, and he might still win.
Yep.
Did you guys? Yeah, I'm sure you talked about it, obviously, because it's one of the fights on this card. But Jordan Johnson at minus 300 in this fight, I think that's a little high.
Yes,
little high.
Milstead, he's coming off a knee, like he blew out his
Yeah.
ACL, and he's a shitty heavyweight. I'm not betting minus 300, but it is a bit high for what we've seen from Johnson so far. I mean, maybe he'll take some leaps here, but I'm not playing it. I can't.
I wouldn't say he can't wrestle, Jay. It's just he got ragdolled by Curtis Blades, and then his corner, even though he had a torn knee. Maybe, but Johnson's just not that style. He'll take you down and he'll keep position, but he's not gonna
maul you.
Like he's not gonna. Yeah. So I don't know. I think that one's looking a little high, but yeah.
Are you gonna do a Milstead by TKO prop, Brad? Are you throwing that out there for the listeners?
I don't know. I haven't looked. There's no props out yet, except for there's no props out yet.
Goes the distance. That's the only prop.
What a surprise! This is the state of MMA
this
betting.
This is now MMA betting. It's so brutal.
We should talk to our overlords. See if there's anything we can do about this.
Yeah. Yeah. You take the top dog out of the game, and it's just a free for all. It's ugly.
It's a shit show is what it is.
Have you guys seen some of the stuff that DSI has been doing lately, though? Like, everybody else had rock holds, minus 160.
I don't know if that's true, though. Like, that's what Best Fight Odds said, but I think the Best Fight Odds fucks up. Because right now...
No, because...
What's that?
I logged into DSI.
Oh, you actually saw it?
Yeah.
And what was the line?
It was basically flipped from where everyone else was, but not exactly flipped, so that you'd just be like, oh, they messed up. It was like still had a higher spread.
Yeah.
So it looked like that was legit where they kept their line. And I don't know what the hell. Like, if I logged into DSI now, I'm sure that Munoz isn't plus 260.
And Dodson's minus 111.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would hope not.
I'm not sure what they're doing. I gotta be honest with you.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's just weird stuff.
Because I put some money in DSI when there's some talk of certain people doing certain things, but with the site, so I said, okay, I'll put some money in, and there's some weird odds. I gotta tell you.
Yeah.
When I was looking at the Daytona 500, there was some interesting lines in comparison to what was available elsewhere. I'll leave it at that. I don't know what the strategy is, but I guess we'll see over time.
You got to shop around. Got to shop around.
Any chance of you joining us for that 223 card? Or are you still working at random ass hours of the night, Brad?
They're not random. I mean, I'm making sure that they're just bad. Yeah, I'm just making sure our government is functioning properly around here, man.
Why do you have to work at night if you work for the government in an office?
Yeah, does the government close at 4:00?
Because we've got a day shift and a night shift here.
Yeah.
So there's 7 to 3 and then 3:30 to 11:30. And because of the department I'm in, there's like that many people ahead of me that are on day shift. And there's only so many desks on day shift.
Weak.
So, yeah.
But
seniority, man, it's a bitch.
I'm sure the benefits involved in that are pretty awesome. So,
yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah, gotta do what you gotta do.
Well, I should be finding out relatively shortly if my contract will be converted over to a permanent position.
Oh shit!
Which that would be all right.
Some stability.
Yeah, stability would be good.
Yeah.
Unless you're a complete psychopath, like certain people we know on Twitter. They're professional gamblers and poker players, even though they haven't had a winning month of betting in their entire life.
He must be a great poker player.
I would say so. Like, holy shit, he must be on the tour.
Oh man.
WBT ringer, okay.
Yeah.
Anyways, I feel like I dragged this out far longer than you guys had anticipated. So
all good.
I'm gonna.
It's always good to hear you on the podcast, Brad.
I try and hop on when I can.
That's right.
So.
Should I give Brad a show review? Give him something to watch?
Oh yeah, what happened to that? I thought when I was waiting for you to bring that up. What are we watching this week, and what are we listening to, Jay?
That's a good question. So there's not a ton in the podcast landing that I would recommend at this point. One decent podcast comes from The Ringer. It's called The Rewatchables, which is it's a pretty simple concept. Just classic movies or kind of like cult classics, and folks go back and kind of watch them and just kind of talk about them, and in past tense, show movies like Jerry Maguire or I don't know, Varsity Blues or something random from the past that maybe wasn't considered an all timer, but it's entertaining enough for nostalgia purposes. So I guess we can do. I watched a couple different series of TV shows over the last couple weeks since our last show. I did watch Sopranos season 1. That was a treat. I watched Casa de Papel, which is a Spanish show about a heist of Spain's treasury mint, and I also watched Everything Sucks, which is kind of like a '90s dramedy. Which ones do you want to get? Which one should I break down here?
Everything Sucks. I was looking into it. I haven't watched it yet, but it piqued my interest a little bit.
So it's all like very 90s centric. It's about it basically follows a bunch of kids in high school out in Oregon. Some kids in the AV club, which kind of produce the school's newscast, like the daily newscast, and then these other kids who are in the drama club, and it just kind of follows, like high school times in the 90s, and there's relationships, and like one kid comes out, and there's that whole thing, and there's just a ton of 90s nostalgia references. It was okay. There were some funny moments, and the storyline's decent. It's probably like a 5.5 kind of show. Like 5 is kind of like my point of like anything under 5 I probably wouldn't watch, and like anything over 5 kind of,
You'll at least watch it to fruition.
Yeah, exactly. You get to 7 or 8, you're talking about something really good, and you get to 9, you're talking about like an all-time type of season or something. Like, but it was like a 5. Like I was entertained. It was a quick watch because it's the episodes are like it's not a sitcom, but it's not a drama. It's kind of somewhere in the middle. Probably like 35 minute episodes. Touches on some different topics, but just a ton of 90s references with the music was cool, a good soundtrack, and then just like different things from the era, like different video games they were talking about, or different snacks, or just the clothing. There was just, I think the show really kind of like forced the issue too much though with all the 90s references. Like they could have been a little more. I don't know.
There could have been a little more nuance to it.
Yeah, a little more nuance to it, but they kind of forced it, which is a little weird to me. There was one scene I really liked, was like kind of like that movie store scene. It reminded me of kind of like Kevin Smith and Jay, that whole Silent Bob thing.
Yeah,
I heard Kevin Smith is like real trouble.
Yeah, that heart attack yesterday.
Yeah, no good.
Almost died.
Yeah, no good. Yeah, I know people give me a lot of shit for my Sopranos season 1 review, but that's another story. They didn't like the 6.5 I gave. Like, oh, it's a classic, Jay. Oh, it's a classic. I live in this state, okay? I know what it's like.
Good stuff.
Yeah, I'm gonna watch that 7 Seconds show. I think that might be enough. About like another Jersey thing, but it's like a white cop kills a black kid, and there's this whole story. That whole interracial tension.
Why do you need to watch a show about that? It's just like on the news every day, Jay.
On the news. I don't know. Actors look pretty good.
Your news on channel 37, followed by MTV on channel 38, and then HBO on channel 39, and the Playboy channel 40, and ESPN 41.
Trailer looked all right, but I got to get through the Sopranos thing, and then I keep hearing great things about Babylon Berlin, but I haven't seen that. I haven't watched that yet, so we'll see. And then Annihilation.
You have way more time to watch TV than I do, Jay.
Because I get up at because I only sleep like 5 hours a day, so it's like, okay, no.
Yeah, I go to sleep at like 2, wake up at 8:30, 6:30. You know.
Yeah, you get a show in the morning, an episode. You got an episode or 2 at night.
I guess.
I fast forward through things.
I actually went out and saw Black Panther yesterday with the wife.
Oh. I wonder if it's better than Annihilation.
I have no idea. I have not seen Annihilation yet. But Black Panther was all right. Cool. I wanted to see it in theaters because of the visuals, and they're pretty cool.
The only thing with all the superhero stuff, isn't it? Aren't we kind of at the point where it's just become just too much? Like, do we want to see superhero movies like every month and superhero shows every month?
That's why you just don't watch them unless it's Deadpool or Black Panther or the really good ones, not just the generic ass ones.
Yeah, I guess
the ones that have like something special. Like Deadpool's actually like R-rated and fucking awesome. And
it's a different theme.
I'm not a superhero goer unless it has something special.
Yeah, because I
am going to see the Infinity Wars though, because
not the movie, the show.
Everybody.
Do you like the Marvel shows or just the movies?
Some of them was alright, but like Defenders was pretty garbage. Iron Fist.
I haven't watched it, but it looked garbage.
Like an absolute dumpster fire.
Oh, Daredevil was pretty decent.
Yeah, season 2 of Daredevil was alright. I haven't got through Punisher yet. Like I watched an episode or two and just didn't hook me. Luke Cage was pretty good. Jessica Jones, who gives they're getting to the point now where it's superheroes that are like, who cares? Like,
yeah, I know.
I didn't care about the superhero when I was a kid. Why would I care now?
Yeah, that's the issue.
Yeah. But anyways, just entertain me. Entertain me. That's all I ask.
Yes, me too.
And that's why I skipped
I think
women's
we've reached
MMA
the end of the episode.
Good call, Brad.
Well, what else is new? But we'll ask Brad. I guess we'll ask Brad one question: how many minutes will it take Cyborg to win on Saturday, Brad, against this Kunitskaya?
3.
Okay, I said 4. I think Nushan said 4. I think I said.
Yeah, I said 4.
We're all in the same ballpark.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Fair enough.
This chick's not good.
Brad, it was nice for you to join us.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure every time, guys.
She's on. Brad? Yes. We've made it back more often. Wes got contracted AIDS from Lance, so it's been a rough go.
Well, at least you had a little bit of back end filler on the podcast today. So
you betcha.
There you go.
All right.
Anyways, have a good night, boys.
All right, Brad. Take care, and listeners. Good luck this weekend. Enjoy the fights.